Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Waste World podcast. I am your host, Gage Edwards, and today we are diving into a topic that I know a little bit about, something I can actually speak on, beer. Well, not exactly just beer, but the groundbreaking partnership between Charlotte Water with Town Brewing, Lenny Boy Brewing, and Xylem to take the QC Water initiative to the next level in Charlotte. That is taking, recycled water and fueling beer creation, but now kombucha as well. It is a fun little initiative they have, more than fun, it's sustainable, very important, and it's providing that sustainability and innovation to the community and surprising all of us. I know I'm surprised when I hear about this stuff, but bringing something fun and new to a world that I guess most of us experience all the time. Delicious ways, apparently this recycled water tastes just as good, if not better, than your regular distilled water, and using it to produce other beverages like beer or kombucha is a sustainable action, a sustainable way to make sure that those processes don't use up all the other water that we have. I think in the interview, or the podcast rather, Brandon, one of the guests today, talks about how it's a 5-to-1 process. 5 gallons of water makes 1 gallon of beer. And the more that we can use recycled water, the better it is. So we can just keep reusing it and reusing it as much as we can to preserve the other fresh water we have. Now, in today's episode, we'll talk about how this collaboration came together, what it means for Charlotte's community, and why it can be a model for our cities everywhere. Everyone should be looking into this if they have the structure, the facility, the whatever, I guess, goes into it. That part I don't understand too much. I am not on the technical side of things. I can enjoy a beer, and I know what water is, but man, I could not recycle it myself. Anyway, enjoy the episode and let us know what you think. Thanks. We have a full house today here on the Waste World podcast. Lots to talk about from a couple interesting people who I'm eager to talk about and learn more from. So instead of me kicking it off and kind of giving an introduction about them, I'd like to pass it to my guests to see who they are, what they're doing, and the cool stuff that they're kind of working on now, and what the crux of this conversation is. Muriel, I will start with you. Who are you? What do you do?
My name is Muriel Steele. I'm a wastewater process engineer for Charlotte Water. So I support the 6 wastewater treatment plants in Charlotte, or water resource recovery facilities, as we started calling them. I support operations, and then I also do special projects and some research. Excellent.
Now I'll throw it over to Towns. Towns, how are you? And we might have lost him as soon as I asked him to say hello. That's the beauty of podcasting through Zoom. That these things happen sometimes. He looks very determined. Okay, Muriel, I will keep it up with you then. So tell me a little bit about KC Water and what's going on. The groundbreaking initiative showcasing what's possible with purified recycling water. Charlotte Water is partnering, or QC Water is partnering with Lenny Boy Brewing, Town Brewing Company, for some new products. What's the haps?
So what we've got going on is Charlotte Water has started creating what we call QC Water, which is recycled wastewater effluent that we send through a polishing step that's been provided by our partner Xylem. So we're cleaning up the wastewater effluent to the highest quality standards. We do a lot of testing to ensure that it meets all Safe Drinking Water Act standards. And then we're producing products we can share with the community to sort of showcase what we can do as a utility, both from a treatment standpoint, but also thinking about the future of what a future water supply might look like. And so we've partnered with Town Brewing, who has created a brand called Brew. So they've created 2 different styles of beer. They started with a pale ale last February in 2024. And then this year they made a Märzen for the fall seasonal. And then we're excited about our new partnership with Lenny Boy, creating Crown Bucha, which is a kombucha made with the recycled wastewater. So the QC water is what we're calling that.
And I guess that's where Towns comes in. Towns, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
me? I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Cool. Just like to give a quick rundown. Who are you? What do you do? How'd you get involved in this whole thing?
Yeah, my name's Towns Mozer. I'm the founder of Lenny Boy Brewing Company here in Charlotte, and got involved via Brandon. Mentioned it to me, and then ironically, Rochelle, one of the folks that's working on the project, is my neighbor as well. So both business and home life mixed with this project. So
Cool. And tell me a little bit about this Crown Bucha. So we're using recycled water in this.
yeah, yep. So this is so in essence, what we did was we suggested to Charlotte Water what type of totes, big water totes to get. We brought those in house, cleaned them, passivated them like we do all of our brewing tanks, and then gave them back to Charlotte Water. And then Xylem came in and ran the water through their system, and Muriel can kind of delve deeper into that aspect of it. But in essence, they produced the water, brought it back to us. We ran it through our system and brewed a kombucha with it, and then out came Crown Bucha. So it's a raspberry, ginger, and lemon flavor, and it's a really good flavor, really good product. So we're excited about it.
Very cool. And I see Brandon has joined us as well. Brandon, are you with us?
Hey, I am. Yes, sir.
Cool. Can you give us a quick rundown on who you are, what do you do, and how you're involved in this cool partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Brandon with Town Brewing Company. I'm the director of operations here at Town Brewing. We got involved in this partnership about 2 years ago now. I think it's kind of when we started in the inception. Originally, there was a festival being put on by Charlotte Beer Collective that was a sustainability focused festival, and there was an idea from Charlotte Water originally that they had kind of started throwing around. A woman that was deputy director at the time, Jackie Jarrell, had started throwing an idea of how to make a reclaimed water beer. And so it had been done other places in the nation, especially on the West Coast. It had been done. And so they were interested in a partner for that, and we got kind of plugged in on that just with some of the inventive and ingenuitive stuff that we were doing in the brewing industry.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I guess just before I kind of get into anything else, I don't think I've ever drank anything with recycled water as an ingredient in it. I guess that I know of. What is that like? How does it taste? Is it confusing for consumers when they come in and hear about it? What are we hearing out there when you're telling people about recycled water in your product? And this is for anybody, whoever would like to answer that.
I mean, at least on our end, I mean, we're new to this thing, so I think it is a little bit confusing to the consumer about what the water is, and like the quality is very high, and it's tested probably at least on a smaller scale, probably more than our Charlotte water. I don't know if Muriel can suggest to that or attest to it, but so I mean, the water's very, really pure. Does come from another source than the city water, but yeah, it's super clean. It's really kind of void of all minerals and stuff. So we did have to remineralize the water to make it good in the fermentation process, because you do need minerals in the fermentation process. But yeah, it's a really clean water source.
And Brandon, would you echo that? Is that kind of the same on your end? And are people, gravitating towards the recycled water?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for us when we first did this project originally, the original Renew Brew, we were kind of blown away at how clean the water was. I think we were with bated waiting in the wings to see the lab results on it, and it was so impressive that it exceeded drinking water standards by pretty large magnitudes. And then to echo Towns there, yeah, we did want some minerality back added to it. There needs to be calcium present for fermentation for us. Malt extraction for sugars. That calcium helps the enzymatic process there to get those sugars out, and then they really jumpstart the fermentation. So, some calcium chloride, gypsum, things like that we back add for minerality. But I think really what we saw with it was the water was so pure and so clean. It was as close to stripped down H2O as you got. Is it kind of gave us a blank canvas so that we could really create that minerality difference that we wanted with it. A lot of brewing around the world has taken on certain flavors and profiles on certain styles of beer, a lot because of the water profile of where they came from, right? So if you're drinking a German Pilsner versus an English pub ale, not only are those different malts, different yeasts, but those two water sources are going to be completely different due to, a lot of well water that was used in older days before there was water treatment plants as to what the minerality in the soil was. And also almost to where it gave like a terroir to the water, kind of, if you will. And so this gave us the opportunity to create, again, exactly the profile that we wanted with back adding the minerality we wanted to it.
Very cool. Now, I mean, I don't know much about recycled water. I know plenty about beer. I've had a lot of it in my lifetime. So I feel like I'm in good company here. So Muriel, on your side, when you talk to people about recycled water and kind of say, like, this is something you can use in your product and your customers will gravitate towards this, how is that messaging? What's that conversation like?
So it's really what we recognize that sort of the first instinct is to maybe be eked out by it. But that's why we really go above and beyond with the testing. And we try and help our partners understand each of the treatment steps a little bit, just so they can understand, there are multiple processes after our wastewater treatment plant that are really stripping this water down to that blank canvas that Brandon was talking about. So we really try and emphasize that and just try and make the point that, we know water. We know how to treat water, and this is the most highly treated water in Charlotte, more or less, that you can get in bulk. We're approaching distilled water. We've made some small tastes of just the plain water, and it tastes darn near like distilled water. So it's really about sharing what we know and trying to educate the end users, the consumers, the public about just how clean we can get this water, and with the hope that they can come to realize that all water is recycled. Really, there's no new water in the world. It's all part of a water cycle, and so this is just a sort of a new part of the water cycle that we get to be part of.
Right. And now I talk mostly in the recycling and waste, sector of the industry. So there's a lot of misconceptions on our end. On your end, are you seeing a lot of those maybe same misconceptions, and how do you combat that?
So we partnered very early with Yellow Duck Marketing to help really drive the story so that it didn't get received and misinterpreted from the get-go, because we knew that was a risk. That was really the biggest risk we were worried about, was that the ick factor we couldn't overcome. And so we tried to get ahead of it. So we did a really big push with our first two rounds to make sure that we told the story about how clean this water is, what we can do with a process like this.
Cool.
It was really us trying to drive the message ourselves rather than letting the public run wild.
Gotcha. Now, speaking of message talents, I'm curious because your kind of brand kind of works with strong wellness, probiotic associations. How does it help with recycled water in your product now? How can that help push that message, especially for the kombucha?
I mean, we do a lot of sustainability, so a lot of our sourcing of ingredients for the kombucha are like our green tea is sustainably sourced. We can't grow green tea in America, unfortunately, too well, so we partner with farms in the East that they pay well to their employees. They also have another program that allows for the families to own a cow. I know it sounds third world, but they pay for a cow, and then their family is a lot more well off with what the cow provides for them. So a lot of other sustainable efforts, like all of our blueberries and our wake up call, come from a single source organic farm in Virginia. Um, Most, probably 90% of our strawberries and our strawberry kombucha come from North Carolina organic farms. So there's a lot of layers to what we're putting into the can that we really take pride in. So this is another sustainable resource that we're using the water in. So it kind of fits with our motif of what we do in our kombucha, and yeah, so that's kind of skinny on it. It's yet to be fully out into the market yet, so we'll see how the market reacts over the next couple months.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it. And then, Brandon, for you, this is your second time using recycled water in a product?
Yeah, so we used it in the pale ale first, and then we did a Märzen style Oktoberfest with it this time. We actually did a couple iterations of the pale ale. There was one that was I talked about. We launched at a beer festival here in Charlotte that was focused sustainable festival. It actually won best in show at that festival, so that was huge for us to be. It's the Queen City's Brewers Fest, so it's really the who's who of local beer. North Carolina is, I believe, ninth in overall craft beer production in the United States. Um, that festival is for Charlotte breweries, which encompasses some of the South Carolina breweries as well. Charlotte's the number one beer making area in the Carolinas, so we really think we're one of the top areas of craft beer production in the United States. And to win best in show with that product immediately validated the product. Right, it gave not only us credentials for that, but I think a little public faith in that too, or maybe more public interest in it because it won so immediately. But that round was a beta round, really, to just run in trial, to just run as we were sampling out to people and really kind of getting some feedback because obviously this is a very strange space to navigate, right? Not because of the product, but because of the court of public opinion, right? The product we can stand on, the science is there. We can look over at what Muriel does to clean water naturally, just to produce such a fantastic effluent that goes back into the Catawba. We don't do a lot of IBT in Charlotte. Most of our water is going back in to the same source that we draw from. So we really want to respect that river and keep the Catawba clean. So Charlotte Water does a great job making that effluent at such a high level. And then what Xylem did to come in and provide the technologies to clean that water to a point that exceeded, drinking water. We were firm on the product, but the court of public opinion just they sometimes I think there's an old Roman philosophy, they condemn what they don't understand, right? And so I think a lot of times that's what people would see was we tried not to use the words wastewater, right? We tried to use reclamated, we tried to use recycled, renew in the name Renew Brew. We tried to make sure that we were using phrasing that would kind of gear people's minds towards things they do like, which is recycling, being environmentally friendly, being go green. And so I think a lot of times it is, like Muriel said, hiring a company um, Yellow Duck Marketing that's going to really kind of try to stage that narrative to you. So it's been a fun process. Like Towns with a lot of the kombucha and what they do with naturally sourced and locally sourced sustainability. We have a bit of a granola crowd as well. In craft beer, and so I think that really lends favor to us when we produce a product like this. But there is still a yuck factor for a lot of people that they have to get over. And really, I mean, that's the reason in doing this project, right?
Mhm.
Is to put it in a product that is a bit of a disinhibitor, is a bit of a reward. Also, fermentation gives another layer of added protection. If somebody, I mean, we're boiling the water and then we're running alcoholic fermentation and hops that have antimicrobial properties. So I think all of that, hopefully gives people a reason to say, you know what, I'll give it a try. And they start to realize that recycled water can be used at a very high level.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe winning that award kind of, puts together that trust for the community where they're like, oh, okay, this is an actual product that I can invest into because it does just taste normally and where it's a sustainable source. So
right. If we made a bad beer versus making a really good beer, there may be some difference in there. So our head brewer, Federico Della Torre, he's a fantastic brewer. So we were really privileged and really thankful that it was such a high quality beer, which really helps give testament to that.
Right. I'm a stout fan. So anytime you guys want to put together a stout recycled beer, I'll drive down. I'm only in Virginia. I'm not too far away.
Nice.
I will say we intentionally did not do a stout first.
Okay.
We did a very clean and clear beer just to really drive the message home. But the
marketing on that might not be amazing. I understand.
Correct.
But maybe put it in a aluminum bottle so no one can see what it looks like. Yeah. I don't know. So we are seeing this kind of initiative happen in other cities across the states, but it sounds like Charlotte's kind of, to me, leading the way with, of course, you guys as producers, the work that QC Water is doing with Charlotte Water. So do you guys feel like you're leading by example for other U.S. cities? Do you feel like this work is really pushing the agenda for recycled water?
Yeah, so one thing I'll say to jump in real quick here, and I want to tag Muriel in too on this, but I just want to really talk about how great of a provider of water, a purveyor of water in a municipal source that Charlotte Water is. There's a reason that a lot of brewers have flocked to Charlotte, in our opinion, is we do have a really, really high quality water source that we're able to produce a product from. I do think that Charlotte is leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of the cities in the Southeast and the Carolinas. A lot of times we do try to push the envelope a lot on what we can do to really drive what should be a standard for the rest of this area. I think a lot of that too comes from the fact that Charlotte Water operates pushing that envelope. This is, again, as many great initiatives as we do sustainably, Charlotte Water is pushing things all the time. What they do with their wastewater treatment facilities and water reclamation facilities now, they're really always trying to find new ways to break in. So I just can't say enough about them and what they do for our entire region here in the Carolinas to kind of push ingenuity. But Muriel, I'll tag you into that if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it, Brandon. We, I don't want to take credit for being the first utility to do this. There were several utilities in the West that had sort of have been at this for a couple years. Maybe not the exact same model that we're using, but something similar. But as you probably know, the water situation in the West is a lot different than the water situation where we're at. So I'm proud to be part of Charlotte Water, who's still willing to look at this as a potential source of a different sort of water supply. So we're really thinking longer term in the far future, really trying to look at what's the most efficient way to use our most precious resource, which is water. So it's not just wait until we're running out of water to try and figure out what to do. We're really trying to get ahead of it, trying to understand what we can do on the treatment side beyond what we're already doing. We're always trying to innovate in our normal day-to-day jobs, and this kind of just took it one step further. So we got to see what we can do with this wastewater that we treat. That we honestly, I work in the wastewater division. We're so proud of the product that we produce, and so it's been really nice to put this out in the world, and then also hear a lot of good feedback from other utilities that have seen us doing this and say, we're interested in doing that. So that's also really encouraging to me that the success we've had with this project is really kind of re-energizing the industry and sort of recognizing that it's not just when you're running out of water that you need to start thinking about this. There's benefits to doing it now. So I've really had a great time working on this project.
I'll say too, just to echo Muriel there, the biggest thing I think that seeing these being done out west is there is a real immediate crisis for water as a resource out west. The southeast United States, I think we have more inches of rainfall than probably anywhere in the nation, right? I think maybe the Pacific Northwest has more rainy days, but I think we may get more rainfall a lot due to big drops of hurricanes and storm fronts that move through the Gulf Stream. But what I will say is, a lot of times we see in a city like Charlotte, as fast growing as we are, we're outpacing a lot of the infrastructure and ability to get water into places. And a lot of times that's a hang up on building and actually being able to grow your city is sometimes your ability to process wastewater and ability to draw water out of your source. And so being able to use water like this 2, 3 times, 5, 6 times, if we get to the point to where we could reuse this water from the Catawba 6 to 7 times before we put it back in, I think that really changes a lot that people don't understand in what the infrastructure of our city can do, and how fast our city can become what it should be in 10 years.
Well said. Towns, I know you have to run here soon, so I want to give you a quick opportunity to shout out the operation you got there and what's cool in your world.
Yeah, so we're located at 3000 South Tryon, just right down the street from town. So there's kind of a nice little brewery hub in our neighborhood. I'm not exactly sure how many breweries, probably 8, 9, 10. But yeah, we've got a full on tap room. We've got Town Brewing's beer on draft at our place, and they have our kombucha on draft at their place, the Crown Bucha and the Renew Brew. So we're sharing love there. But yeah, we've got a full-on tap room, kitchen, event hall. So we're always doing some fun stuff for the community. And yeah, stop by and try out the beer and the kombucha at Lenny Boy as well as Town.
Yeah, if I find myself in Charlotte, I'll make sure to stop in. I love a good brewery. I love hanging out in there for way too many hours, but just kind of chilling out. So, Town, I know you'll jump up here soon. Yeah, I know you'll jump up here. So I thank you for joining me. And I had a few more things I want to talk to Muriel and Brandon about, but Town, okay. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all. Have a great day. Appreciate your time.
Of course.
Thanks, Towns.
Thanks.
All right. So, Brandon, Muriel, you've kind of been in this partnership for a couple iterations now. What's kind of next for recycled water, you think? What does the future recycled water look like, maybe in Charlotte, or in your personal opinion?
So I would love to see on the brewing side, I think the biggest thing is infrastructure, and I'll let Muriel touch on that. Is how are we able to and Charlotte Water, I think, has some plans on how to make this a little more available, a little easier to get to where it's something that we could start to push on a regular basis. But Muriel, I'll let you touch in on that.
Yeah, so very similar to what Brandon said. I'm looking for how to make this permanent, something that we can do on an ongoing basis. I'd love to see Town come out with a new seasonal every year. So our sort of next steps are, up to this point, Xylem has been a fantastic partner this whole time, and up to this point, they've really brought in their equipment and their staff as needed to run that polishing step. But we'd like to make it more of a permanent install at our McDowell Creek facility, so that we can be running this day in and day out. Breweries or other producers of products using QC water could just come to our site, fill up a tote, or if we still have to work out sort of the logistics. Honestly, one of the hardest parts of this project is coordinating all the groups to get, the lab there on the days we're producing water, and somebody with a CDL to move the totes to the breweries. And so it's a bunch of moving pieces. So we'd like to sort of get some of those firm in place so there's less moving pieces, and it can be a little bit more streamlined. And then that also allows us, once we have our own unit that's permanently installed, we can do a little bit more research on it. So right now we've really put all of the bells and whistles on this polishing step. And so we're curious to see, you know, what sort of contaminants might we be removing through these different steps? Where is the most efficient treatment? Do we need all of the steps? Are we just treating it above and beyond? You know, we'll always try and produce the cleanest water possible, but that doesn't mean you need to use every technology to get there. So by procuring some of our own units of these different processes, we can really start to dive into what's really happening with our effluent and how that makes it to the QC water product, and really have more confidence in saying, this is what this treatment step does, and then this, as opposed to that next treatment step. So I'm really excited about that next partnership, and I'm sure Xylem will still be a great partner, and especially helping us get the system set up, sort of dialed in and calibrated to exactly what we want to produce, so we have a really consistent QC water product.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I think too. You know, the big thing is we talk about in brewing that, and there's different estimates. It really depends on what scale brewing operation you're running, what processes and SOPs that you run for things. But generally, we think on average it takes about 5-to-1 ratio of gallons of water to make a gallon of beer. There's a few reasons in that. One, you're going to have some boil off. You're also going to have some moisture absorbed by your grain when you're rehydrating a dry grain to be able to pull those sugars off of that. But the biggest reason is there's a lot of cleaning that goes on with the brewing process, right? Cleanliness is next to godliness. We don't want any infection possible to inoculate into our wort and have any battles with that yeast or produce any off flavors with unless we want those off flavors. Every now and then we introduce maybe some lactic acid or some things in there that we're doing intentionally, but generally we don't want anything other than the yeast and the things that we've introduced explicitly into those batches. So cleaning becomes very water intensive. We run what we call, and a lot of people that may know this segment would know, clean in place. So CIPs are a lot of the measures that we run because our tanks are fixed. So we use a lot of spray balls. We use time and temperature and a lot of caustic solution to be able to clean that. And so I also think, you know, just to add a caveat into this, that there's levels of recycled water, right? We could also use, and there may be an ability for a lot of industry to be able to, that are water intensive in cooling and cleaning and things like that, that may not need a water levels to such a height of drinking water standard, but it does still need to be an additional cleaning step from effluent, right? Just to make sure that there's no pathogens or anything like that that could be present in the water. But things like manganese or something like that may have just a bit of discoloration, maybe that doesn't need to be to drinking water standards, to Muriel's point. So I think there's definitely a lot of research to be done here, as she was saying, on what levels this water can be, what steps are absolutely necessary, and what's going into a human consumable product here versus what are the hundreds and hundreds of other ways that we could use recycled water.
Yeah, and I Brandon, you're just sparking more ideas in my head.
Go ahead, we're here. Go ahead.
We actually do, so not from our McDowell Creek facility that we've been sourcing the QC water from, but we do have our Mallard Creek facility does have a reuse permit. And so to Brandon's point, their reuse permit is used for irrigation. So that water doesn't need to be drinking water standards. And so not only do they not need to clean it extra, they don't need to be using potable water that we treated for human consumption just to water grass. So, you know, we're kind of at this point where we're looking at water as fit for purpose, let's say. So a clean, safe wastewater effluent that has a little bit of nutrients in it might be perfect for irrigation. It's not perfect for drinking, but it can certainly take the place of drinking water. And so we're kind of approaching where we're getting a different scale of products that we can provide to our community from drinking water. Obviously, we're providing services like wastewater, but Now we're looking at this ultra pure water, and then we have some of our reused water too. So I'm really enjoying sort of exploring these different water products we can make.
Well, you guys are doing a great job taking the control out of my hands. I'm just ready to listen to you guys talk. This is a lot of fun for me. I get to pair my job with a little bit of brewery action. So I'm interested. So, but now I'm curious. Like, all right, so Brandon, you're the brew master. I'll call you. Muriel, you find yourself at a brewery every once in a while.
Of course.
What are we
Be careful.
grabbing?
Be careful. I'm definitely not a brew master.
Okay, I guess not by sure.
Yes. People will attack me if I'll let you call me that.
Let that stand.
Fetty's way closer to that than I am.
Okay.
But we're careful with that word. Yeah.
Sure. I will retract a little bit, but of course you're the knowledge man. You're the one that I can talk to. There you go. All right. So you're walking into a brewery. What are you guys getting?
So personally, I am and this is the way I am with barbecue. So just to tie in some more Carolina magic here. If I walk into a barbecue restaurant in Carolina, the first thing I'm going to try is your chopped barbecue sandwich or pulled barbecue sandwich, right? And baked beans on the side, right? Because I can judge your whole house by how you've done that, right? If I walk into a barbecue restaurant in Texas, I'm going to try your brisket first, right? So I think for me, the thing, if I walk in a brewery is I want the stripped down, simplest lager you've got. I want your Pilsner, whatever your American lager is. If you've got a golden ale, something like that, because a lot of times it's really hard to hide the imperfections in that. There's not a lot of fruit to dress it up. There's not a lot of huge body, big malt bills, all these heavy hopped IPAs and things like that. I can really kind of tell where I go forward from that one beer as to what next beer I'll have from you. So easy drinking Pilsner is going to be my answer there.
Okay. Muriel?
Well, I love Brandon's answer.
he's in it for knowledge. He's to learn, like, how can I judge you immediately?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also will like a sort of an easy drinking beer, but I would say my favorite style is a sour. Okay. So I am one that is into those off flavors. But that also made me very excited for us to partner with Lenny Boy, because a kombucha is very similar and it's tart, and I like a sour anything.
Very
sour
cool.
Candy, sour beer, sour kombucha, all good to me.
Now, Brandon, you brought up barbecue. Is Carolina barbecue the best barbecue, or is that just for you guys to think that?
I mean, I will go to my grave saying that we do whole hog better than anybody in the world.
Anybody in the world,
yes,
okay.
Yes. So there's a few arguments internally inside of Carolina. If you're Lexington style, Western style, or Eastern style, it goes into the sauce and vinegar base and all that. And so there's a lot of inside baseball that we could really start to break out if you wanted to get into a barbecue podcast as well with this.
I'm gonna need another. I'm gonna need another podcast for this, because this is gonna take us a while. I don't know.
Brandon, what's your sauce of choice?
I'm an Eastern style guy. I like the vinegar, heavy vinegar, just a little bit of spice to it. That's my jam. Yeah.
So if I put a bottle of barbecue sauce on my table and label it East Carolina, people know what it's going to be.
They will have an expectation of what it should be. Yeah. Yes,
that's interesting. I didn't know there were so many Carolinas. Here we are.
Yeah. And to add to the complicating factor, I'm actually from Oklahoma, so in my raising, barbecue was beef.
Okay.
Right.
But I do say I love the pork. Pork is my jam.
If you get down into South Carolina, they do some real weird stuff with mustard down there, and we don't even. That's just all on their own. Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh no! All right.
I love the mustard barbecue.
Well, guys, this has been a fun conversation. This kind of brought me to the end here. I'll give it up. I usually open up to the floor for you guys to kind of say your kind of last comments on what we've got today. So, Muriel, Brandon, what have you got for me?
I just have thank you. This has been fun.
Sure.
I've really enjoyed this project, and it's fun to. You might not be surprised in your line of work to know that not a lot of people want to talk to the wastewater engineer. So
that's why I'm here, giving the voices.
Yeah, you make a few beers, and then all of a sudden, everybody wants to talk to you.
Sure.
I'll say, this has been a fantastic project for us. I mean, as a brewery, we source more than most breweries in the United States. A lot of grain is sourced offshore from European countries. Russia was a huge provider of grain before sanctions went in there. The Ukraine's a huge provider. Canada does a lot of grain growing. The Midwest. We've made the decision to have about 90% of our grain is grown within 40 miles of the malt house, or malt house that's right by the brewery here. We source 100% North Carolina spirits. We carry North Carolina wines in our restaurant. We try to source food as local as possible. So being able to be on a project like this that preached innovation and sustainability was just right in line with everything that we do. So it's great to come to work and create a product that we think has such local investment, but to be on a cutting edge and innovative with, again, a municipal water source like Charlotte Water, and a company that's so innovative like Xylem. It's just been a huge, tremendous thing for us to really believe that what we're doing is bigger than just making beer, that we actually are making an impact on our community around us.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you guys for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I look forward to getting down to Charlotte and stopping in at one of these places. I'll make my job, fly me out there one day, just have them foot the bill a little bit. But I will be sure to do that. So, hey, thank you again for joining me, and you guys have a good weekend, okay?
Thank you. We'll have a cold beer waiting for you.
Excellent. I want to quickly thank my guests again. We are looking at Crown Bucha and Renew Brew. They're not just beverages. They're proof that science, sustainability, and creativity can come together in ways that connect with people. So huge thanks again to Muriel, Brandon, and Towns for sharing their story and the story of QC Water. If you want to taste the future of water for yourself, make sure you're going to Charlotte there. And I know I'm going to get down to Charlotte and try this stuff out myself, and I'll be able to report back in due time. Who knows when that'll happen? Hopefully sooner rather than later, but maybe recycled water beer will make its way up to Virginia, and I will give it a shot up here. So I'm looking forward to that. As always, don't forget to subscribe and rate the Waste World podcast here. The actions you take on your end to subscribe, rate, and review the show help us bring on cool people like we saw here today, and we need that support. So I'm looking forward to seeing those reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or other podcasting services. You don't want to miss what we have in store. I've got a lot of conferences coming up, so I should have some cool stuff to bring back for you guys to talk about. Next week will be a session from Waste Expo 2025. I'm not sure which one it'll be yet, but it'll be out there for you, as I will be at the National Plastics Conference in Orlando. Other than that, we have some cool stuff on the horizon. So stay tuned, rate, subscribe, and hey, remember, it's our world. Let's not waste it.